Sam, brother. So you are in my mastermind and you've bought a lot of stuff from me.
Yes.
So I gave you a bonus and I said, I will give you a sit down one-on-one session to help you build your business, take it to the next level. Now we're here.
That's good.
Yeah, all right.
I'm really excited for this.
All right, so I know you want to build a new offer and you want to leverage some of your success in the existing offer that you have. Tell me real quick, what is your existing offer and how much are you doing per month in it?
Yep. So I do a done-for-you TikTok agency where we help service-based businesses and e-com businesses to go viral organically without using paid ads, without boosting, and use that viral traction to convert into sales. So on a high level, that's what I do. So I plan to obviously have, this was a done-for-you offer, which I'm still doing at the moment, and we're signing huge clients. So recently just signed Samsung as one of our clients. Yeah. So we're doing influencer marketing campaigns for them with the organic campaign on TikTok, because that's my specialty, which is TikTok marketing. So I'm really excited to see, obviously we've got bigger clients now, but I actually enjoy working with people in general, like it's just done with you, and I wanted to expand on done with you. I just didn't know like what was the best, route to go, because obviously there's so many ways to do done with you. I thought about starting a course, but I thought it's not really showing like the value that I have. And I came across obviously your stuff last year, 2023, 2024. And it took me about a year to get on board it. But yeah, here I am. Okay,
so you have this done for you agency. You don't necessarily want to scale it bigger than it is. I know you do, I don't know if you mind me saying, but you do 6 figures a month.
Yes.
We can just put it at that. You don't want to scale it bigger because you want to go into more of a one-to-many, some sort of coaching program type of thing so that you can scale without scaling your operations, right?
100%. And one of the things that really attracted me to join the mastermind was that I saw, obviously you had like, I think 2 or 3 team members or 4. Did that entire pitch. I watched the entire thing, but I didn't sign up then. I signed up afterwards. And I saw how effective that was. And I was already in this mindset of, I've been wanting to do one-to-many for the longest time. I just needed that framework, like someone who has done it to show me. So yeah, that's why I kind of joined.
Dope. Well, let's figure it out. So what's your biggest question around this new offer? Like, have you decided what direction you want to go or what you want the offer to be?
Yep. So I have 2 main offers. So the first offer is to teach people how to start a content agency and to make your first probably like 6 figures or 5 figures per month, which is the first offer.
So business opportunity.
Business op, yeah.
Basic, anybody, hey, you want to quit your job, you want to learn how to start a business, let me show you how to create a content agency, right? So that's offer 1?
Yep. So that's offer 1, helping 9-to-5ers kind of like quit their jobs, or someone who has a side hustle to actually have a real business that supports them. So that's the first offer. The second offer is to build personal brand. I'm teaching business owners, entrepreneurs, content creators, how to build a personal brand. I've built a following of about 600,000 followers, about 40 million plus views. And for my own personal page, I started an Arabic page, a new page that I started. And I went from 0 to about 18,000 followers in less than 60 days and about 5 million views. So I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes to going viral. So I wanted to sell on that because I feel like majority of the people that I've met, they don't know, they have a really good product, but they don't know how to sell it or how to package their videos up to speak in front of the camera and to sell through content. So that's my specialty. So the second offer is more towards helping businesses grow their personal brand so they get more customers.
Now, are you looking for advice on which one to choose?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it were me, both offers can work, but you have a wider market in the first offer. Okay. You have a wider market because anytime you do weight loss, business opportunity, relationship coaching, these are very wide markets. And so these are markets that cannot get saturated, right? Like the market I'm in, where what do? I basically teach forms of internet marketing, right? It's a very competitive space, extremely competitive. Yeah. If I wasn't as good as I am, if I didn't have a 10-year track record and brand in this market, it would be very difficult, you know? And so if you're trying to say, well, I'm going to help course creators and coaches and this and that build a personal brand, I would advise against that, because can it work? Yes, but you're literally stepping into like the Super Bowl. You're stepping in the highest level. You got to compete with guys like me, guys like Russell Brunson, the best of the best of the best. And I'm not saying that you can't compete. I'm just saying if there's another, like I remember I got some advice once from Perry Belcher. You know who Perry Belcher is? And I met him and I said, oh, Perry, I'm a big fan. He's a legendary internet marketer. And I met him and I shook his hand and he's like, yeah, I know who you are. And you know, Perry's a little rough around the edges. And I'm like, oh, cool. And he's like, yeah, you're an idiot. And, you know, I don't get offended very easily. So if Perry Belcher thinks I'm an idiot, I want to know why. And so he says, Dan, you're one of the best internet marketers in the world and you sell marketing. I'm like, yeah, wouldn't that make sense? He's like, no. He's like, why don't you go into a completely different market where nobody knows this stuff? Nobody's going to buy from you and then ask you, oh, how did you sell me, right? They're just going to buy. And that's it, you know? And it would be like Tom Brady playing flag football with toddlers. He would just be punting toddlers across the football field, you know? And so for me, is you are a marketer, right? You know this stuff. If I were you, I would go into a market where you're basically Tom Brady playing flag football.
Wow.
You would just dominate, okay? And so business opportunities, there's always people every day, new people looking to make money online, looking to start a business. What do you think like McDonald's franchises are? Who do you think is the audience for that? People that want to start a business.
Yeah.
You know, people that want to have a restaurant, but they don't want to go through the pain and suffering of creating their own system. So they buy the McDonald's system, which is called the Speedy Station system.
Right.
You know, for those that don't know the history of McDonald's. And so the point here is that for me, while both offers can work, I feel like you should go for the business opportunity because you're just going to, you have the ability to go viral, right? If you sell the personal brand thing, you're going to have to charge at least $5,000 to $10,000 for the offer. Right. Because otherwise it's not going to be worth your time. The market is much smaller. Unless you went after these like Instagram influencers and you were like, oh, learn how to get famous on Instagram. But they're not necessarily business owners. Yeah. But with a business opportunity offer, in your particular case, you know how to make things go viral, right? Yeah. So a business opportunity is going to be $1,000 to $2,000. Yeah. It could be $3,000 or $5,000. I mean, you could definitely sell a $3,000 or $5,000 business opportunity, but you can sell a $25,000 branding offer for a business owner. It's very difficult to sell a $25,000 business opportunity offer. Very, because if they had 25 grand to give you, why would they be looking for a business opportunity? They probably have a successful business. So for me, when you add the concept that you have the ability to do volume, I don't necessarily think you need to do a high touch program. I think you can do something that is less work on your part, mid-priced, and you can push volume because you have the ability to push volume in numbers. But for somebody who doesn't have that ability, a high ticket I usually recommend because you can make more with less of an audience, but you can build an audience. Does this make sense?
Yes.
This is why it's so important to really analyze your superpower, your unfair advantage. Because your unfair advantage is you know how to go viral. Yeah. So if you know how to go viral, you can do volume. If you can do volume, then you can do a lot better at BizOp than most people can.
Right. That makes a lot of sense because I started my TikTok agency in 2022. There was literally no reference at all with regards to how to start a content agency and how to go viral. So I thought, I had to learn the stuff along the way. And I thought, I think this sort of like program will really help someone who's just starting to learn and trying to get into like content agency, the agency world, to learn a little bit more about how to scale quickly, and they don't have to learn like 3 to 4 years of like mistakes.
You've made restaurants go viral, right? Yeah. So tell me, like, explain that to me. You created a TikTok account for a restaurant?
Yeah. So I started completely from scratch. Actually, the restaurant that I marketed, He had an existing account with like 23 followers. So I said,
So you had a restaurant that had 23 followers
Yeah.
as a client.
yeah, 23 followers. So I said, scrap that. I'm going to start a new one. According to what I know with regards to how to go viral on TikTok. And then within like a week, we blew up to like 2,000 followers. And then a month, we 10,000 followers. In a year, we went to like 100,000 followers. And in 3 years, now we're at 315,000 followers
For a restaurant?
for a
What
restaurant,
kind of restaurant?
Italian restaurant.
So just, where is this Italian restaurant
Singapore.
located? Singapore. So just a random Italian restaurant in Singapore now has 350,000 followers.
315,000 followers on TikTok. And then Instagram blew up to like 300,000 followers organically after like 2 years.
Instagram's fast.
Yeah, Instagram was slow back then. So
Yeah, now it's fast if you know what
Yeah,
to
now
say.
it's faster. But 2022, like it took us about 2 years. Like 2 years of like grinding and posting every day. Like that existing Instagram account that my client sent to me, we had about 17,000 followers. And then within one viral video, we got about 7 million views. And we grew from like 17,000 to 186,000 followers in like a week.
So let's say I'm a normal Joe Schmo and I give you whatever, $2,000, $3,000 for your offer.
Yeah.
You're going to show me how to get clients like restaurants, like lawyers, like doctors, and basically create them personal brands, blow them up on social
Correct.
so that they don't have to spend money on ads. They get more views, they get more traction, they get more customers, and they pay you. So it's like instead of a Facebook ad agency, which was obviously a big thing back in the late 2000s.
Stone Age.
Yeah, Stone Age, yeah. This is a content agency. But what's important is how you name it, what you call it. Because you could say, oh, it's a content agency. But see, to me, one secret I've learned, listen, $35 million is a lot of money to make online. And every single dollar I made out of that 35 million, I've learned something from it. Here's what I can tell you. The words you choose to describe something dictate the perception your customer has. So have you ever read the Robert Cialdini books?
Yes.
So do you remember the jewelry store?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Okay, so in the book, he talks about how there was a jewelry store that had a pair of earrings that didn't sell for months, and the owner got, really frustrated. So the owner leaves a note that says, cut the price of the earrings in half, goes home for the weekend, comes back on Monday, the earrings are gone. And she says to the manager, oh, thank God we cut the price in half. And the manager goes, no, I read the note wrong. I'm so sorry. I doubled the price. You see, the earrings sold because the price was higher, which created the perception that they were worth more. And so they were more desirable. And so what you call something, you're controlling the perception, and you can change its value based on how you describe it.
Right.
So when you say a content agency, for me, it kind of sounds like your everyday thing. Oh, a content agency, right? But
Viral agency.
better.
Yeah.
Viral agency, that's possible.
Viral AI agency.
Okay. Well, what about a personal brand agency?
I love that.
So what if you said, hey, are you looking for the hottest new opportunity online? Have you tried to start an online business, but maybe you've considered an e-com store, maybe you've considered a marketing agency, maybe you've considered, I don't know, selling on eBay. But what if I could show you an offer that people are buying up like hotcakes, that people want, that's incredibly easy to get results for, and that you could charge a premium for, even if you're just starting out?
Wow.
What I'll show you how to do is sell personal brands. What does that mean, sell personal brands? Doctors, lawyers, restaurants, they all want to grow, get more eyeballs on their stuff, get more customers without bleeding their bank accounts dry with Facebook ads. And then I would show like a screenshot of that restaurant. You see this Italian restaurant in Singapore? I was able to blow them up to 350,000 followers. And that increased their revenue by whatever the revenue was increased. How did I do that? I built them a personal brand on TikTok. You see, you can literally sell personal brands. You can take a business, you can create them a personal brand, and you can blow their business up, and they're gonna love you because they don't have to spend money on advertisements or word of mouth or cold calling, right? These are done for you personal brand packages that now, what did you charge that restaurant, or what do you normally charge?
About 25 grand for 3 months.
25 grand.
Yeah, for 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bro, imagine you could charge 25 grand. This is a contract I have for one of my restaurants or lawyers or whatever. $25,000 to build them a personal brand.
Yeah.
Completely done for you over 3 months. Now, even if you charged 15, even if you charged 10, even if you charged 5, what if I could give you a blueprint of exactly how to build a personal brand for any lawyer, any doctor, any restaurant, any business, and even if you got 5 grand a pop, what would that do for your life? And you don't have to navigate technical spaghetti mind traps that is Facebook ads, right? You don't have to. So, like for instance, how many hours would you say per week the average client would be for building them like on TikTok or whatever?
So like my team does all the filming. Usually takes about 4 to 5 hours per week.
4 to 5 hours per week.
Yeah. So we come down. I mean, per month. Sorry.
Per month.
Per month. So you will literally come down for 4 or 5 hours. Like 2
Okay, so you go to the location.
Yeah.
You film. You edit.
Yeah.
And then you post.
Yes.
Ah.
Because all of these restaurant owners, they don't have time. They don't have, like doctors, for example. They're busy with their patients. They don't have time to be editing videos, like learning how to use CapCut. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like we solve like that time issue for them, and also we solve that expertise issue for them. Just because.
So natural objection I would have.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to film. I don't know how to use cameras.
We film for them.
No. But if you're selling me a business opportunity.
Yeah.
On how to start my own personal brand agency, content agency, whatever, my objection is going to be, okay, well, I don't know how to use a camera. I don't know how to film.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to do it in like 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why can I learn it in 30 minutes?
What's that?
Why is it so easy to learn in 30 minutes?
Because I think the options that we have right now with your mobile phones, that's number one.
So you just film it on the phone?
Yeah, some of it is done on mobile phones. Some of it is done using like a normal camera.
Okay.
So
when you blew up the restaurant,
we just use the phone.
we just use the phone. Okay, well,
Just use an iPhone.
Bro, so you say, now you might be thinking, this is a magic phrase that'll make you a millionaire. Now you might be thinking, you put that in your marketing, you put that in your copy, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna say something like, hey, I can show you how to land $10,000, $15,000 contracts creating a content or personal brand agency. You're gonna go out, you're gonna film for them, you're gonna post for them, they're gonna pay you. But I know what you're thinking. I don't know how to film. Well, what if I told you that this account that we blew up to 350,000 followers, that we got paid 25 grand every 3 months for, we filmed all the content on an iPhone?
Yeah.
Could you do that? Could you? How many times do you use your iPhone? How many times per day do you use it? Do you know how to use an iPhone? If you know how to use an iPhone, I can show you how to sell these personal brand packages.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is called irrefutable statements.
Yeah.
So can we both agree that you know how to use a phone?
Yes.
Yes? So if you know how to use a phone, and all of these reels that we made for this business were filmed on a phone, do you think you can do it?
Absolutely right.
So that you want them to say that. You want them to say, oh, of course I can do it. Don't say, you can do this because you only have to film it on your phone, right? No, you say, how many times a day do you use your phone? And they're thinking to themselves, well, hundreds of times.
Yeah.
So you're pretty good with your phone, right? Like you know your phone, right? So you put the pressure, the weight of the responsibility on the phone. And you say, so you're pretty good with your phone, right? So you realize that we filmed all these reels for this restaurant on a phone, the thing that you're really good with. So do you think that if all you needed was a phone, something that you're extremely proficient with, you could do this too? Because that's the biggest thing. Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, I was on his podcast, and he explained to me that there's 3 reasons why people don't buy. They don't trust you, they don't trust your company, or they don't trust your product. I believe there's a fourth reason. They don't trust themselves to use your product.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest one, especially when you sell info products, consulting, even certain done-for-you services. They don't believe they can take advantage of it. And this is a very untapped objection that most people don't even try to overcome.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you cover, hey, you can do it. This is possible for you. Because if somebody doesn't think something is possible, they're not going to invest in making it a reality. You got to make sure that they believe it's possible. Does that make sense?
100%. So that's the first step, just to show them, like, look, this is something that you use at least like 14 hours a day. And get them to sell themselves on like the process. Because obviously, yeah, the first objection they will have is just cameras. I don't know how to use a camera.
Right.
And I've obviously taught a couple of students how to use a camera. But in my program, I show them how to film just using a simple iPhone and a mic. The magic is not in the phone or the camera. The magic is in what you say. So I'm just trying to sell on that idea that it doesn't matter what equipment you use. My most viral video, I filmed it using an iPhone. Got 1.5 million views literally last week. Organically.
Wow.
Organically, with no paid ads. And I know how to make videos go viral because there's this thing where we call content formats. And I'm sure you know this as a marketer, which is like there are certain content formats that have worked extremely well in your niche. All you have to do is replicate that using the templates that I've given you and show them, hey, look, this is what's worked and we're going to use the same strategy. And then once you use the same strategy, keep testing different ideas until you hit the right one.
Yeah.
That's how we've done it for our clients.
It's kind of like Marvel movies.
Yeah.
They're always successful because every single Marvel movie follows the same exact format. In fact, there was a study by a group of UK scientists where they studied 6,000 movie scripts.
Oh.
And they found that there were 5 story frameworks that were found in all the most profitable movies. And there was one that stood far and above the others. And it was called Man in the Hole. The Departed, The Godfather followed these frameworks. The Blair Witch Project, which cost like nothing to make and made tons of money, followed this framework, okay? And so if you have the framework that works in your genre or, think of a restaurant as one genre, think of a lawyer as another genre, think of a doctor as another genre. Yeah. We're gonna show you what framework works for what genre.
Yeah. Based on what we've tested in the last 4 years.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's, they gotta go, that makes sense, right? Do you get what I'm saying?
This is sick. Okay? Yeah.
Now, there's another thing there's an objection they're going to have. Yeah. They're going to say, well, I don't like to talk to people. I don't want to sell. Okay. How many times per week do you talk to your boss?
Probably like twice a day, I guess.
Probably twice a day, right?
Probably.
Well, how much does your boss pay you?
Less than like $3 grand.
Does he pay you 25 grand when you talk to him? No, he doesn't, right? No. So look, you're already talking to somebody that, I'm sure you've been in a situation where you're nervous talking to your boss. You were probably nervous talking to your boss the first time when you were being interviewed for your job, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got up that morning, you went to that job interview, you overcame your anxiety, you got out of your comfort zone, and you did that interview. The only difference between doing that, the thing you've already demonstrated to yourself that you can do, and doing this, is this pays 100 times more.
Okay.
You get it?
I get it.
So you're demonstrating to them that they already can do it. They're not putting the pieces together.
Right.
Like you got in that job interview. Yeah. You were in that situation. Yeah. You overcame it. You did it. But you got paid this much. I'm going to show you how to talk to clients. But when you get over your fears this time, you get over your anxiety this time, and you talk to them, you're going to get paid this much. Which do you want? Do you want this much or do you want this much? If you got paid this much, how many of those conversations would you want to have? How many of those nervous anxiety moments would you want to get over and get out of your comfort zone? I imagine you would want to do it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's all about taking what they already believe and associating it with what they need to believe to buy. Because if they believe that they can talk to clients, if they currently don't believe they can talk to clients, but if you show them that no, you actually can talk to clients because you've already done it with your boss, but the only difference is you get paid 100 times more,
Wow.
they're going to put those pieces together, and this is the building blocks of belief. And when a potential customer believes that they can get the result, that's when they're willing to invest. If they don't believe they can get the result, then they're not going to invest. So this is how you build those building blocks.
So I
of
remember
belief.
in the program you mentioned about like 1 or 2 lines that you keep repeating over and over again just to drill the point back home.
Principles.
Principle, yeah.
Yeah, principle-based selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think yours was like just one good investment with regards to this epic pitch could transform all the bad financial decisions you made.
Oh, I do say that. I say that a lot. I say,
That sticks, actually.
yeah. You have to create statements that stick. Okay, and two of my favorites that I say a lot are, "You will never be broke if you know what to say," and one good sales presentation can erase all of the horrible financial decisions you've ever made. So you have to create sound bites that stick. So for instance, for this offer, it could be something like, if you're going to be uncomfortable, would you rather be poor and uncomfortable or rich and uncomfortable? Because you're going to be uncomfortable anyway. You get a new job, you're going to have that uncomfortable conversation.
Choose your uncomfortable.
Choose your uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know? Do you want to get paid a lot to be uncomfortable, or do you want to pay a little to get uncomfortable? Yeah. And they're going to say, "Oh, I want to get paid a lot." Okay, so then you already, why are you living your life every day getting paid less than you're worth? You know? So I like this offer as long as you pitch it correctly, which is the key.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you could, if you started a new TikTok or whatever it is that you do, you scaled it up. Can you use? I don't really use TikTok that much. I probably should. Probably should buy your program. Can you use chatbots and like ManyChat on
Yes,
TikTok?
you can.
Oh, you can.
Yep. There's a new feature in ManyChat that allows you to do ManyChat in TikTok. So they've just introduced this feature, I think, last month.
Oh, well, that's why I don't know about it. Yeah, that's why I didn't do TikTok that much. Because I'm like, well, if I can't generate leads from it and automate it, I'm not
You
interested.
can do it now with TikTok. And that's what I do for my clients at the moment, for real estate clients.
So you have real estate clients, and you get them a lot of leads as well?
Yeah, I create for them like a lead magnet, and then people just comment PDF and like just getting free PDFs.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so do you like this offer so far?
It's the most perfect offer I've heard.
Yeah, so
because you know what it is, I was just thinking like it's true what you say. Because if I went down that personal branding route, I have people like, I don't know, Russell Brunson and all these top guys, but one thing that they haven't done is create a TikTok agency.
yeah.
And like all the years of experience I've lived in TikTok, using TikTok as a teenager and going in my early 20s, using TikTok my whole life, I know TikTok better than anyone. That's why I can sell this product for $25,000. Clients would pay us because they know that I need someone young, someone who's energetic, someone who knows what they're talking about and has helped a bunch of clients, heaps of clients in the past. And I'm the guy. So I guess this really shows the USP, I guess, and it's different from any other offer. So, yeah.
So what do you think, I'm just going to ask you a question. What's the difference between going viral on TikTok and going viral on Instagram?
Going viral on TikTok, you attract a lot of idiots. Going viral on Instagram, you attract even bigger idiots. But Instagram brings you better quality leads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So so then why would I want to go viral on TikTok?
Well, if you go viral on TikTok, the turnaround time of you getting customers is actually really, really quick. So if a lot of my restaurant clients and my, doctors, clinics, all of the stuff, other people that I help, the turnaround time from watching your video to actually coming to your physical location, like a restaurant or whatever, is almost immediate, like an overnight thing.
And it's not on Instagram?
Instagram is more of like a trust building thing for me, and at least that's been my experience. I feel like TikTok works because the virality for TikTok, you could literally have like a video go like 50,000 views today, and the next day you'll get 1 million views on TikTok. So that's how fast TikTok goes viral, because it just shows it.
So let's say I wanted to sell something normal like perfume.
I'll start with TikTok.
Really? And
Yeah.
what
I actually,
makes
you know
say
what
that?
it is? I actually scaled the perfume shop from 0 to 11,000 followers organically using this exact method. And all of their clients came from TikTok.
If I get 11,000 followers on TikTok, or how many ever views
All
you
right,
got,
so the followers does not really matter on TikTok. It's slightly controversial, but the followers doesn't really matter. What really matters is the views.
yeah, I've noticed that on Instagram. Because a lot of people, we get hundreds, sometimes we'll get hundreds of leads per day, like hundreds. I've had days where I'll get 2,000 emails added to my email list in a day, because I've mastered Instagram. And also what I've noticed is that out of those 2,000 email leads that I've generated, a lot of them don't follow me. They just see the videos, they comment a keyword, I have a chat bot reach out to them, I get the lead, but they still don't follow me, right? So I don't think follows is necessarily the best way to...
That's absolutely right. Because that's been my experience too. And I've handled about 300 accounts in the last 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's the same thing for all the accounts. The ones that do really well often get like less followers, but more views. It's just the way how TikTok worked. And Instagram is starting to follow like the same pattern, I think.
So how many views in, say, a month did you get for that perfume shop?
That perfume shop, I just did a video last month, and I did a guest appearance on their TikTok just to see what will happen. Obviously, I don't know why, but that video went like 600,000 views in a week.
Now, is this a Ecom perfume shop, or is it
It's a physical perfume shop.
physical perfume
selling
shop?
perfumes.
All right, so let me ask you this. Let's say you had a Ecom
Yep.
perfume shop, okay? And you get, say, 500,000 views on a video.
Right.
What is that going to translate to in sales on average, would you
For
think?
e-commerce, it's slightly different. I would say e-commerce is slightly more difficult because it's more competitive. But if you have a physical shop and you're helping businesses with a physical shop, it's much easier.
Really?
Yeah. At least this has been my experience in Dubai and also in Singapore and in certain places in
Don't
Australia.
mention the name of my other company.
Huh?
But do you think that would be good for TikTok, or you think that's not a...
Oh, perfect.
Really?
Do you know how many? Do you know Asim Al Hakim?
No.
That sheikh that I showed you, like the funny sheikh.
Yes.
Roasting people online.
Yeah.
That
I love
guy,
that guy.
he has like a program where he funnels people in, and I'm helping them to do TikToks in Saudi
Really?
Arabia. Yeah. So the team hired me to do like the TikToks.
Interesting.
Beach.
We'll put a pin in that. So let's say you have a brand new ecom.
I've seen brand new accounts blow up because in TikTok, this is something that a lot of people know. On TikTok, you do have a starter pack booster account, which if you start a new TikTok page and you do it right, you can go viral literally overnight. It's something not a lot of people know. I've done like over 300 TikTok accounts in the last 4 years, so I can tell you for a fact this works. So if you know what to post, and a couple of my clients who have went super viral, I follow the exact strategy in terms of building like a TikTok page the right way. So there's obviously like different ways to build a TikTok page, but having physical businesses to build out a TikTok the right way, I think this is a step that most businesses miss, because they would create a TikTok and then like wait for like 2 years, leave it dormant and not post anything, and then they say, "Oh, TikTok doesn't work." I said, "No, dummy, you didn't know how to set up the account." That's literally the most.
What's the most important thing when setting up a new TikTok
warming
account?
up the page?
Warming up a page.
Yeah.
And is that the type of posts you make?
That's kind of that's kind of like the pages you follow and the content that you watch. Yeah.
Okay, so it's similar to Instagram. You can trigger the algorithm by following and watching content on a brand new Instagram of the exact like competitors, if you will, which then signals to Instagram. So I have another Instagram that I blew up to
100,000.
100,000 followers in 60 days.
That's insane.
And all I did was I followed all of the big pages in my niche, and then I watched a bunch of their reels, and then my very first reel that I posted got over 500,000 views.
Yeah.
And I didn't try it with TikTok, but it worked on Instagram, so I imagine it would work on TikTok.
It's the same thing, but TikTok, I think it's a little bit faster.
I think this is a good offer. What questions do you have about crafting this offer and making it tangible.
Right. I think the next question I have is probably like the book. What do you think like a good? I mean, I've done multiple variations of the book, as you know.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got our AI book in a day program.
Yeah, that was actually really sick.
I know. I got up to piss in the middle of the night, and I looked at my phone, and you sent me like your book cover, and this was like not even 24 hours after you had joined. You sent me your book cover, like the whole book, everything. And I was just like, oh, Sam's not sleeping tonight. So,
yeah, I literally did the whole thing in like 5 hours, less than
Wow.
5 hours. I wrote the entire AI book thingy, and obviously I got my designer to design the book, but the cover was the most important thing. I wanted to get it right.
you know, you can use Ideogram to do
Really?
amazing book covers.
Wow.
Yeah, so I actually am about to release this book called The AI Marketing Playbook. And I'll just show you real quick. So check this out. So I designed this in 10 seconds using Ideogram.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, that was, I just literally,
What is his website? Ideogram.
Ideogram.
Wow.
Yeah, Ideogram. So you can actually create an amazing book cover. And the text, everything.
That's so sick though.
Yeah, the text and everything was done in Ideogram and has my author name,
Is
everything.
it done with AI or did you actually design it yourself?
No, it's AI. I typed what type of book cover I would want, and it made the book cover.
That's mad.
Yeah, and there it is. Boom. Okay, you can do stuff so fast these days. AI is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess my next question is like, what title would be the best? Because my first initial title is like, how to get paid to post.
Off the top of my head, and I would obviously sit down and create multiple variations, and I'll show you a trick for figuring out which is the best one.
Okay.
So off the top of my head, I might say something like personal brand profits, how to make 6 to 7 figures per year from scratch, building other people's personal brands.
Right.
Something like that. Now, here's what I would do. I would take 5 different variations of that title. I would use AI to make 5 different covers. I'd throw up a landing page for all 5, for a waiting list for the book. I would run an ad to all 5. I would look at the cost per lead, the click-through rate, and the opt-in rate on each variation. And then I would say, okay, which was the easiest to acquire a lead for the wait list for the lowest cost?
Right.
And then I would say that is the book title and cover. Why? Because you've just demonstrated through an actual marketing test what people resonate with more. Did you know that Diary of a CEO blew up their YouTube channel by split testing YouTube titles with a Facebook ad before the videos ever went live? They would make like 20 versions of a title and thumbnail, run a Facebook ad to them, look at the click-through rate, and the one that got the highest, that's what they would make the YouTube video and title. Like, I heard that, I thought that was absolutely
really
brilliant. It's super smart. Yeah, we're releasing a video tomorrow, and I'm literally gonna put up a Facebook ad. But what I'm gonna do, because I'm weird, is when you click on it, it's gonna go to a page with a Rickroll.
Yeah.
You know, never gonna give you up, never gonna
Oh my
let.
God.
And it's gonna say, sorry, the video hasn't launched yet, but here's Rick Astley. You know?
Getting
And
free
just-
views.
Yeah, and I'll just test the
That's
the
really
click-through
smart.
rate. Yeah. So
Personal brand profits. Wow.
yeah, personal brand profits. Yeah, but I would split test multiple different headlines. That just came to my head.
Right.
You know, I would sit down and create several and test them.
Like, how would you price it? I mean, I know it's priced at like $17 or $27 for the book in the future.
I would probably do $7, $5 to $7 for the book. I'd have a bump at $19 to $29 for the audio upsell, and then I would have something like an additional bump that is another $19 or so, and then I would have multiple upsells, right? So I'd have some sort of OTO1, OTO2, which stands for one-time offer. But the most important thing is I would create a webinar, a sales presentation that goes with the book. This is how I made $15 million with my first book. I sold the book, and then I said, hey, there's a bonus training that goes with the book, and that was a webinar. which was a sales presentation. Well, they would buy the book, they'd read the book, they'd be like, oh, this is amazing. Then they go watch the training. Oh, this is even more amazing. And then we had them book a sales call, and then we sold them a $10,000 consulting program. Boom, $15 million from one book. And so if I were you, I would do that, and I would take a page out of Dean Graziosi's book, because I learned this little trick, and I just saw it on one of his pages. So he sold a book, and on the thank you page, he said, he positioned it just like I did. Yeah. The webinar was a bonus to the book, but he had the most brilliant line of copy I've ever seen. He said, don't forget to register for the training you already paid for. Wow. Because if I say, oh, well, register for this webinar, if I say register for this webinar that comes with the book, but if I say, don't forget to register for this webinar you already paid for, now it's kind of like, wow. Oh, I don't want to lose this thing I already paid for. I paid for it. So they register. And that and I've tried that before, and it drove registrations through the roof. Yeah. So I would do that. I would create a single sales presentation, add that to the book. I'd run ads to the book, or for you, you can just blow up on TikTok and give away the book. Yeah. They go watch the webinar. You can either do it automated or live, depends on your lifestyle and what you want to do. And then either take them to a book call, or if you wanted to do a paid presentation like I do sometimes, you take them to the paid presentation, you can sell them right in. But if you're selling a $1,000 to $3,000 offer, I believe you can get away with a regular webinar.
Really?
Yeah, it'll convert better if you do a paid presentation, whether that paid presentation is a few hours or a few days. But you can at least start with a webinar. And if it's a good webinar, because what is a book? A book is basically a paid presentation.
Yeah, but I accept that you're selling it on a lower price point to test the waters, right?
So what you do is you take that book, yeah. You give away you write the book. Yeah. I normally would say give away the first chapter, but with AI, you can write it super quick. Yeah. I would find 10 people, I'd give them the book, and I'd say, hey, I will give you this book for free if you can get me a review within 24 hours. They text you back the review, take that text, you put it on the book landing page. Now you have reviews for the book on your landing page.
Wow, that's really smart. Well, blew my mind. How much money should I spend on ads? I guess I know you mentioned like you can spend as much as possible, but what's a good number?
It's not about what you spend; it's about what you can break even on. So, if somebody buys your $7 book, and there's several upsells, and so the average person that buys a book spends, say, $60. Okay. Well, now you can spend up to $60 to sell a book, because when you do that, you're basically getting really warm webinar registrations and leads for free. Right. And then whatever you sell on the back end is pure profit. See what I'm saying? So even if you spent $100 on ads and then you got 50 back or 70 or 80, you didn't get 100 back, your lead cost becomes super small. Yeah. So those sales you make on the webinar, or if you do a paid presentation, or however you do it, they're just more and more profitable. That's why I always love to sell a book coupled with a presentation. Because not only first of all, book buyers are more serious customers. Once they read a book and then they watch a presentation, they're super indoctrinated, super warm. Yeah. And by the time they either get taken to an order page or a sales call, I mean, it's like, it's just a shoe-in, you know? So that's what I would do if I were you. Now, as far as ads, if you can spend $500 a day and get back $500, great. If you can spend $5,000 a day and get back $5,000, great. Spend as much as you can. But for you, if it's easy for you to go viral on TikTok, I would just go viral on TikTok, and I'd say, hey, comment a keyword or viral, and I'll send you a link to get my book, and I would just chatbot it. And I mean, I sell thousands of dollars worth of $7 books every single month on my Instagram, just by asking people to drop a keyword. Yeah. I send them a link and they buy.
The OTO and OTO 1-2, these are really
one-time
important.
offer.
Yeah, one-time offers, like, these are really important to like upsell them on the back end. Because previously what I did was I just sold a book, and nothing goes.
There's a highly technical term for that.
Yeah.
Stupid. Really super stupid.
Because I was like, okay, I'll just collect the email. I'm like,
No,
what
dumb.
do I do next?
Dumb.
Yeah.
So listen, when you sell a book or you sell low ticket upsells, the purpose of these, and this is $1 million secret I'll teach you, is whatever your main core offer is, think of all the objections or thoughts in a person's brain that would prevent them from buying that. And then create low ticket offers around those objections. So when they buy, you don't just make cash, you overcome the objections they have systematically to get them to buy the core offer. Wow. I'll give you an example. Let's say I was a speaking coach and I wanted to teach people how to build a $1 million speaking business or something like that, or how to get booked on stages. Well, a front end offer I might do could be, hey, download my $47 guide, 500 companies that hire paid speakers with full contact information, email, and phone number.
Wow.
This is called a resource offer. So if you see an ad or a piece of content that says, hey, are you interested in getting booked speaking gigs? Well, you're gonna need to find companies that regularly hire speakers. So give me $47 and I'll give you a list of 500 companies that hire paid speakers and their exact contact information. So you don't have to waste time finding companies or schools or whatever that hire paid speakers. So now you're like, oh, this is amazing. It saves me so much time. So you give me the $47, you download it, and now you have it. But now what's the next thought? You're like, well, now I know who's hiring, but wait a minute. How do I price my speech? How do I actually convince them to hire me? How do I get them to pay for my hotel and travel? Well, for that matter, how do I create a great talk? How do I brand myself? You know, how do I, all of these, but you may not have been inspired to even ask those questions if we didn't get you over that first hump.
Right.
And inspire you to take action and take this thing further by giving you that list of contact info.
Right.
And so your core offer could be like how to create your talk or how to get booked or something like that. So you see how the low ticket offer, it systematically overcomes objections or build beliefs required to invest in the main thing, the main offer.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. So in my scenario, it would be like personal brand profits, and then the next upsell would be like the 100 checklists that you need to go viral or something like that to solve an issue. They were like, I don't know how to go viral. So like, what do I do? Just follow these like 50 checklists with like said.
Yeah, but you got to remember your audience is biz op. So they might not even be thinking that far ahead. They might be thinking something like, well, what do I say to a potential client? Or, so for instance, a bump or an upsell could be like 50 places you can find clients wanting to pay you for a personal brand.
Right.
Download the big list, right? Or, download my list of the top 50 highest paying clients you can get. So I had that when I had a Facebook ad agency. I had a cheat sheet that I said, here's a list of the top types of local businesses that pay the most money, that are the easiest to close for Facebook ad services.
Wow, I want that.
Exactly. So they're not thinking necessarily yet like, well, how do I go viral? Because they're being presented with an opportunity to start a business 100%. About going viral. So their first thoughts are like, well, wait a minute, how do I talk to these people? Where do I find them? Who are the type of businesses that are interested in hiring me? How do I price my services? Hey, download my pricing guide, right? These are the things they're thinking about. They're not thinking about, well, how do I go viral? They will think about that eventually. Yeah. But right now, when they see that, or they downloaded your book and they go to bed at night and they lay awake, they're thinking, well, wait a minute. Okay, what kind of businesses are going to hire me? How much do I charge? Yeah. You know, what do I say to these people? Can I really record them on my phone? Like, can somebody like me really do that? Like, they're not thinking like, what are the keys to going viral? Okay, that question will come once those other questions get resolved. Right. Because then once they believe all that, the next logical question is, okay, well, how do I get them to go viral? How do I get them results? Right. Right. How do I, and then eventually, how do I scale this thing? Oh. Sam's got me making 10 grand a month now.
Yeah.
How do I scale it to the next level? How do I save on taxes?
So that's where I do the paid presentation then.
Well, that's where I would have a back end offer, like
back-
a
yeah.
mastermind. You
Right.
know, like, hey, like, let me get you to 10 grand a month with your personal brand agency so that you can join my mastermind for, say, 25 or 30 grand, where I can help you really scale it.
Wow.
And now I at one time, I had a $55,000 per year mastermind, and I had 100 people in it.
What?
And I provided no content. All I did was get on a call every week and answer questions. And once a quarter, I did a in-person event, and again, just answered questions. There were no, there was like no content. There was no log. It was just that.
Wow.
People, this is the great part about VIP offers. People will pay for closer access. Our mastermind now is actually less than that because, as you know, because I don't do in-person. Yeah. Well, you happen to be in Dubai, but
I'm the lucky one.
Yeah, I just do the calls, and we have a training in there and whatnot, and we have the systems to run everything. Yeah. So, any other questions about this offer? What do you think the biggest thing that could stop you from scaling this, or your biggest question that's holding you back from really diving into this thing?
I think solving kind of like their own limiting beliefs. Obviously, I know how to run the landing pages. Obviously, after this session here, I think the only thing that's kind of like, okay, what do I do when the ads doesn't work, for example, right? Let's just say I've split tested 5, and the ones that have obviously done really well, I'm going to use that and upsell them to the one-time offers and stuff like that. So I guess the next step would be like, what countries do I target on the ads? Like, what would you recommend for an offer like this?
If you're so good at going viral, would you need to run ads?
Well, I would prefer to run ads while doing the organic content at the same time to get more like sign-ups, I would say.
So I would say that you're gonna, obviously for ads, you're gonna have your top countries that we always run ads to: U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. Yeah. Okay.
The only thing I wanted to mention was that with organic, you can't actually control where the videos are going. So if you're posting in Dubai, in TikTok, for example, like your audience will be in Dubai first, and then in the GCC, and then afterwards the rest of the world. So that's why I think ads would really help in this.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did tell me that. TikTok is so TikTok shows your videos to an audience that is in your geographical location.
Yeah, where you post it, literally, like if you're in Dubai, it will be shown to Dubai audiences first.
Okay, well, if I want to sell stuff to people in Dubai, I suppose that's helpful.
Yes. You're already selling that. So your top 5 countries.
But any country where, well, here's what I would not sell to. I would not sell to any countries that don't have credit cards. For instance, Morocco. They don't use like cards. Yeah. Okay, so like they're gonna message you and be like, "Can I give it to my cousin and my brother who's gonna drop it off to you at 4 o'clock tomorrow?" Like, it's not gonna happen, right? You know. So I would make sure that I would do the research, and if you're gonna run to non-Western countries, make sure those countries are countries that actively use credit cards, et cetera. Because if you run ads to Morocco, for instance, very cheap lead cost, very cheap ad cost, but even if there's people with money that can buy, it's hard for them to buy because they don't use cards like we do in the West. So that would be my biggest thing. Okay. But brother, I believe this is a very good offer. Yeah. I believe that you have what I call an unfair advantage because you are able to do something that most people can't. You have done something that most people can't, and you are able to demonstrate that you've done it, which is something most people can't. And when you have those 3 things, you have what I call an unfair advantage. And my biggest advice to anybody in business, in content, in building a brand, is do not try to copy somebody else's stuff. Do not try to tap into this trend or that trend. Find your unfair advantage and exploit it to hell and back. Because when you do that, you create a scenario where it's very difficult for people to copy you or compete with you because they would have to have your unfair advantage in order to even come close.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say. I was just blown away.
Thank you for popping in today, brother. I very much so hope it helps.